Hey guys, it's Leonie, and it's been a while since I've done one of these videos where I just talk about my life and stuff. And as you can probably tell by the title of this video, there's been a significant change in my life recently. I know a lot of people who maybe follow me are like at university or finishing university and they're not really too sure what they want to do in terms of their life and career and jobs, etc. Recently, I actually quit my job, kind of. I had the intention of quitting my job, and I quit my job and then I was offered a casual position, so I'm kind of still employed but not full-time anymore. I guess I should start from the very beginning. So last year, before I had even finished university, I was contacted by a HR recruiter who asked me if I was interested in this position. I hadn't even finished university, so to me that was like such a great opportunity, especially because you hear so much about like graduates who finish university and they can't find a job in their field. Like it takes them months, perhaps even years to find a decent job. And so of course I was like, yes, I'm very interested in this position. Thank you for, contacting me. And it was for a very big corporate Australian company. And I went in for the interview, and usually when I go into interviews, I am sweating profusely. I'm just like a ball of sweat. When I went in for this interview for this particular job, I wasn't sweating at all, and they were very nice, and I felt kind of calm even though it was a bit fidgety. But as soon as I got home from the interview, I threw up everywhere because I had like suppressed all my nervous energy, and I just Then I had to submit like a sample of work of what I would do if I was in the position, and I did that and they seemed to really like it. And then they offered me the job, and this job isn't like a junior position, it was like a mid-level senior position, and I had no idea what the heck I was doing. So I felt like I had literally hit the jackpot. Like, wow, they chose me. I didn't even apply for the job, and it's a pretty decent job. I started in January at the beginning of the year. The first month it was super challenging. They really threw me into the deep end, and I had to learn a lot. I probably learned more in my chosen field in that position than I had at university, which, experience is a big thing. And I was like, shit, I can't do this. I was having a bit of a confidence issue. The lack of confidence in myself has really contributed to a lot of my anxieties and nervousness. And I thought, yeah, it's just a month. By the next couple of months, I'll totally get over it and I'll be accomplished and successful. But as the months went on, I noticed that I was feeling my confidence deplete. Eventually that really played on my anxiety, and I'm very susceptible to falling into depressive moods, and I always have been, and I felt like that was happening again. And I had a month where I just came home crying. I woke up not wanting to wake up, and then I would go home exhausted but having to do other freelance work that I was doing on the side. And then I felt very guilty because I wasn't making any new blogs or videos, and I was just really stressed and anxious and contemplating what is it that I want to do in life, because I felt very empty. I would go to work and I would feel empty, but I would complete the work and I would learn heaps, but it just wasn't I wasn't happy. A lot of the times I really wish that I could have changed myself. I wish I was a different person, because this was the dream job for someone who hadn't even graduated from university. This was the perfect job. And it's such a privileged thing to have a problem with. Happiness and contentment is such a privileged thing to have. There are people out there who are stuck doing jobs that they absolutely hate and that gives them physical pain and everything, but they can't quit because that's how they make a living. And I feel very privileged in the way that I don't have to struggle as much as other people. I don't have a mortgage to pay off or kids to feed. I had thought about quitting, and then I felt really guilty about thinking about quitting because I hate quitting. For me, quitting equals failure, and I didn't want to fail. I wanted to prove myself that I could do it, that I could overcome my own demons in my mind, and that I could become confident. And I discussed it with a lot of people, my parents and Matthias, of course, and my brother, who's my mentor, and friends and family. And there was so many different perspectives. For parents, they just want their kids to be stable. And then you have my friends and Matthias who are you're unhappy, you have to quit and follow your heart and dreams and, you know, all that cliche kind of stuff. But I think the advice that really hit me was from my brother, who said that even if you close one door, new opportunities will come. After feeling like complete shit, I actually resigned from my job, and it was the hardest decision that I've ever had to make. The last week of work was probably the weirdest week of work, because I thought that I would feel relieved, but in fact I felt fear and uncertainty, and I didn't know what the heck I was doing, because like whenever I was googling like tips on how to quit my job or should I quit my job, a lot of the articles was like, no, you shouldn't quit your job unless you have another job lined up. And that was like pretty much every single article that I read. And I was freaking out because I was like, because I didn't have another job lined up realistically, like not a full-time job at least. Yeah, it was a time when I was like, okay, I don't have a job, but I'm going to focus on making video content and making my personal brand better, writing more blog entries, and just doing things that I enjoy and that I have always enjoyed, and hopefully making something out of it. So it was like a really big fear that I had on the last week, because I didn't know what the heck I was doing after. Now I have been like working on planning out the rest of my year and how it's gonna look in terms of what I want to do for my personal brand, in terms of making video content. I have revamped my website, and I will be like publishing a lot more articles and blog posts. And along with that, like I'm doing like casual work on the side. And I feel like, you know, even though it's not like something to brag about, like I can't brag about not having a full-time job. I feel like having a full-time job is like brag worthy. Like I feel like society's mentality is that if you don't have a full-time job, you're pretty much amounting to nothing. And that was a huge fear of mine. It was the judgment, because, you know, I went through 5 years of university. What do I have to show for it? The biggest thing that I've learned from this is that there is a huge difference between contentment and happiness. People who can find contentment, I really admire, because it's like you're kind of accepting your situation in life. But I feel like happiness is like a bit more unattainable, in terms of like you're always like people who are seeking happiness versus people who are happy with being content. That's so weird. Okay, I'm totally confusing myself. There's people who are content, and there's people who are like actively seeking happiness and pursuing happiness. And I feel like the people who like are always constantly pursuing that happiness, because they're so busy pursuing that happiness, they're living life kind of empty. And I feel like that's what I've been doing for so long, like living my life empty in the search of finding and pursuing happiness. And that's why I really admire people who are like just content with life. And I hope that one day I can reach that point in life where I'm just content, and being content allows me to comfortably seek happiness instead of like seeking happiness while I'm like a depressed, moody piece of shit on the floor. So to any one of you who's going through like a weird crossroad in your life where you don't know what it is you want to do, no matter what, there will always be opportunities as long as you look for them. And if it doesn't work out, then you just move on to the next opportunity. And I feel like that is what I'm really learning now. I've been plunged into the real world, as they say. Every experience is an opportunity to learn from mistakes. Regrets are a great way to learn from mistakes, but sometimes you just have to let it go. Like, do I regret quitting my job? Like at the time, I kind of did. But yeah, you can't hold on to regret, and you have to just make the most of your situation. Yeah, always be proactive, I think, because once you slip into that mood where you're just like, I can't do this, then you're not gonna do it. But yeah, that's all from me. I really wanted to make this video because it was such a big part of my life. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys in my next video, and as always, tuck for Martin.
You light up my world. You light up my life.